So, let's talk about Warcraft, also known, for some silly-ass rights issues, as Warcraft the Beginning in Europe. Oh boy. Let me preface this with the fact that I have grown up with the Warcraft games, just to be clear on where I'm coming from. Warcraft is a movie 3 years in the making by director Duncan Jones, based on the very first Warcraft game and its associated lore. There have been a bunch of books and, 20 years of sequels to draw inspiration from, and the crew took it. All of it. This movie is jam-packed with 3 main narratives interweaving in a world that has all the locations and names from the games. This, right here, is a problem, as the universe is set up in about, 20 minutes. This kind of whiplash breaks necks, people. What I'm trying to say here is that the pacing is way off, and it's clear that this was not originally intended. Some footage was leaked a few years ago. Let's compare that to what we got, okay? One of the main characters, an orc warlock, kinda like a wizard, called Gul'dan, is about to lay down the very plot of the movie. He stands before a huge doorway made of stone in the middle of a desolate valley, the orcish horde staring at him. In the leak, he says the following. Life. Death. Can you hear it? The beat of 1,000 hearts. 1,000 souls for 1,000 warriors. Living souls are the key to this portal. I need prisoners, not corpses. Empty their villages and towns. Bring me fuel for the fell, and make room for the horde. In the final cut, he goes, the portal needs souls, bring me prisoners, KK thanks, bye. Now, the quality of the dialogue notwithstanding, you can imagine how much of the movie was cut when the single most important monologue that sets up the entire premise of the orcs is reduced by 80%. This kind of errant editing is felt heavily at the start and then throughout the movie in slightly lighter fashion. Someone got into the editing room with giant frickin' shears and got busy. Surprisingly, the movie that we did get still seems handleable by non-fans as well. Make no mistake, this is not a movie you will be bringing Granny to, but the utterly clueless friends I went with still managed to follow the story from the beginning all the way to the end, even if most of the names and subtler references didn't stick with them. Think of this as the Marvel comic book movie equivalent of Warcraft. Those who know the story will either love the references or nitpick the discrepancies, and those who know nothing will enjoy the spectacle and the character moments. Because the spectacle, oh my god, the spectacle. If you look at the press, there will be 3 things that no one will deny. 1, the orcs look amazing. 2, the spellcasting is breathtaking. And 3, the visuals of the world jump straight out of the game in the best way it could have been done. If the Oscars wasn't a snob factory of aging wrinkled men, this movie would be a heavy contender for the Special Effects Awards. As for the characters, the orcs once again take the prize, and those playing the humans feel a bit lopsided acting-wise, not to mention the occasional jerk in character development, another sign that a significant portion of the quieter parts of the movie was left on the cutting room floor. One of the best human scenes involves 3 characters resting by a bonfire in the night. They talk, they quip, they act like living people should. These, for lack of a better words, humanizing scenes, are present for the orcs as well, but they are woefully short on all sides. You want to see more from these characters to understand them on an emotional level, because it's clear that there is more to them. If the point was to leave us wanting more, I believe they succeeded. In its place, however, we got some pretty amazing scenes filled with action that keeps pushing the plot forward all the way to the slightly abrupt conclusion. As I said, this is an ensemble piece with 3 main narratives that each have 3 or 4 characters, and no one gets really lost in the shuffle, unlike a certain Asgardian that likes to take dips in underground pools in the middle of the movie and then vanish for ages. But I digress. This movie is entertaining, but it's not subtle with its plot. It looks gorgeous. The characters sometimes feel rushed. It brings a world to life. There are so many location names given one-off lip service of the game that it feels like it was being paid by the Azerothian Tourist Association, which I suppose they kinda did in a way, Blizzard being a producer and all that. In the end, Is this movie worth a watch? Definitely. The simple fact alone that spells literally explode onto the scene with a force unseen anywhere else before is worth the admission price. In many ways, this feels like the old Warcraft strategy games all over again. The first game was good for its time, but far from perfect. The sequel, Warcraft 2, took all the bits of the first game that was great and refined it. I believe that this movie will make enough money to warrant a sequel, and if they put the lessons they learned from this first one into effect, the sequel will rock the world. This current one is a fun time. No more, no less. The movie gets a solid 7 out of 10 for any action or fantasy fan. If you're a big Warcraft nerd like me, the love or hate for what they did to your baby will probably add or retract about 2 points from that score. Personally, I can't wait for the 3.5-hour extended cut. If they do it right, it could address all the issues with the movie and bring it up to a very respectable 9 out of 10. Thank you for listening.